Chip. Yo. Okay. Check, check. Mic check. Check, check. Hello, hello. Mic working? Check, check. Mic check. All right. I'm going to continue scouring Substack for I guess blogs that looked good. Postcards from the inn. Okay, so this is still the travel section. Fuck it. Let's just keep powering through the travel section. Postcards from the Inn by Lynn Den. Did I skip this one? Globetrot. Jillian knows best. I don't think I looked at Globetrot, number 20. Over 4,000. This is a weekly newsletter devoted to news from around the world, written by Mindy Bells. It's an exploration of global news from her perspective as a journalist for more than 25 years and from a reporter who is also a Christian. It's designed to bring readers and writer together around a broad understanding of global events while not forgetting people who live their lives with them. And importantly, it acknowledges God as the king at the center of all things, despite the toll of famine, danger, persecution, and war. It's by no means an exhaustive roundup. You might think of it as a snapshot from global hotspots and not spots. The places most of us seldom hear about. I first launched this newsletter 10 years ago while working as an editor at World Magazine. It began almost selfishly as an exercise in sorting the wealth of story ideas crossing my desk. In return, I've met news sources and gained valuable tips from its community of readers. So let's continue to help one another explore the vast world God gives us on and beyond the shores of North America. On and beyond the shores of North America. Globetrot is read by students and families, government officials, diplomats, heads of nonprofits, aid organizations, missionaries, teachers, lawyers, and more. Its subscribers are doctors who sometimes work by headlamp, medics in Syria, people who care for orphans in Moldova, fighter pilots, and sometimes first mate aboard a freighter in the Indian Ocean. About me, I was born in the mountains of eastern Tennessee and grew up in Richmond, Virginia. My family came from stock that stayed put. Crossing the Ohio River in Cincinnati at age 14 to compete in a swim meet was a thrill. It was the farthest I'd ever traveled from home. The farthest I've ever been. The world out there I learned about from Robert Louis Stevenson and a set of pictorial encyclopedias my mother bought on installment. I studied writing and international relations at George Washington University before my brother-in-law, Joel Bells, founder of World Magazine, took a chance on me as a journalist because he was desperate for writers. Thus began my adventures in overseas reporting interwoven with our family life. As a reporter, I visited areas near the Chernobyl nuclear site and bounced in a sedan over the war-cratered roads of Bosnia. While pregnant with our fourth born, I made a memorable trip by night to meet Sudanese rebel leader Jean Garang, eating cornflakes with him and his wife Rebecca by day. I covered not so much wars as the family's surviving wars in Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, and elsewhere. I've witnessed children starve and babies sleeping on bare ground in a Syrian winter. I've watched up close the world in the grip of Cold War, post-Soviet breakups, 9/11 terrorism, ISIS hegemony, and a pandemic. Two themes from so much globe-trotting stand out. The hidden lives and daily labors of redeemed people change the course of world affairs. Progress undimmed by evil. And that the world, for its mayhem, remains every day a fun and astonishing planet to live on. In naming this operation, I'm not afraid of kitschy comparisons to the Harlem Globetrotters, favorites from my childhood. In their heyday, they traveled millions of miles and averaged hundreds of games a year. Hard labors all performed with top-notch skill, clownishness, and soul. When someone asked Meadowlark Lemon, "Teach me to do that hook shot," he replied, "You saw it from the outside. That shot came from the inside out, from my spirit." That's how we want to tackle the world inside out every day. Mindy Bells, author and editor. January 9th. Foreign territory. A year of loss and finding the way. Numbered days. A battle report from the home front. Help for earthquake victims. Local and international aid groups are at work in Turkey and Syria's rubble. That was from... Oh, these ones are from last year. That's odd. She not posting anything lately? Yeah. It's been a while. So the first article in almost a year. Here I am again, a stranger in a strange land. Years of traveling. It's a solo as a reporter overseas, especially covering terrorism amid the Iraq War. Taught me many rules of the road. Look around. Look again. Look over your shoulder. Be aware of those paying too much attention to you. Look a new friend in the eye and smile, but don't make eye contact with strangers. Know exactly where you are going. always and in the local language. It's weird. How you gonna make any friends if you never make eye contact with strangers? Don't leave some things to chance. At the same time, brace for change and expect it. Connect with a familiar face on arrival. Get a few hours of rest and hot tea in a small glass before starting out. Then events can surprise and overtake any plans. But an American reporter like me may have her feet planted in whatever the new soil her mental compass primed. For months now, finding solid ground has eluded me. The rules of the road feel broken. I wake in a house I've lived in for nearly 40 years with my husband and family, but I wake alone. The sun rises to greet me, and the dog waits for breakfast and a ball throw, but I float, suspended in the familiar but strange whirl, watching as though for the first time normal rhythms I once gave no thought to. They appear part of someone else's life. Nat Bells. Since my husband's passing in 2023, ordinary days paralyze me, make it hard to write, and to remember to take out the trash. Nat Bells died on March 30th after a 5-month battle with cancer. Well, that explains why she hasn't been posting. The days and nights were exhaustingly long, and the battle to beat an aggressive bladder cancer impossibly short. His illness was punctuated by relentless nerve pain and life-threatening infections. Yet, in those final hours, his anguish subsided, and he seemed to sink, nested almost, into the arms of Jesus. I too was nested, kept and cared for by my children and a tireless church community. Okay. Gotta stay focused. Seems like a nice publication. I don't know if she's going to be writing any more. Ukraine believers in Putin. Ukrainian pastors work with teenagers reinforcing a bomb shelter. Oh, look at that. This guy's a man of the cloth and also a man of arms. He's got some nice Adidas sandals on. Shit is crazy, dude. This guy's got an upside down American flag on his arm. Made sure to convert his Christian Hope Church in Kiev to a bomb shelter before quitting the capital last week. He faced a tough choice: stay with his congregation or leave to protect his family. Jesus. Okay, well. This woman apparently is a war reporter. Like also a disaster reporter. Huh. Is that her? The Great Wall of China. Judean wilderness. This woman's been around the world. Alrighty. Postcards from the End. Over 1,000 subscribers. Over tragic news from the end. For over a decade, I've published articles. I wonder if I should read more of these. Published articles that focused on political and social issues affecting us all. Being in various countries gives me fresh perspectives to address our common problems in the last 2 years. I've written from Laos, Vietnam, South Korea, Serbia, North Macedonia, Lebanon, Egypt, Albania, and South Africa. Just arrived in Namibia, where I'll stay for the rest of the year, at least. Is this him? Before being canceled, I was an anthologized poet and fairly prolific author, with my last book, Postcards from the End of America. Now I write about our increasingly sick world for a tiny audience on Substack. Drifting overly much. I'm in Cambodia. Well, December 26th, December 31st, January 4th, January 6th, January 11th, January 13th. I mean, 4,000 is not tiny. It's number 20, 21 on the leaderboard. Great Lakes travel deals. Not interested in that. It's actually about traveling in the Great Lakes. The Irish Stew. Food news from Ireland. Escape Club. Travel and lifestyle, inspiring spaces, places, and experience beyond city limits. Over 13,000 subscribers. The leaderboard must be based on paid subscribers. I think that is what it is. Maybe just how much they make a month from subscribers. Travel and lifestyle, inspiring spaces, places, and experiences beyond city limits. It's a nice picture. Okay. Getaways, real estate intel, staying in the loop. Escape Club is the writer of Escape Club. All right. Happy Hoteling, Marissa Klurstein. Curation of the most specific hotels and hidden gems throughout the world for good people with good taste. Understanding Rome's newsletter. All things Rome. Agnes Crawford. Over 2,000 subscribers. Hello, my name is Agnes Crawford. I am originally from London. I have lived in Rome for 23 years, and I have worked as a guide in the city for 22. I am proud to be fully licensed as a professional guide by the province of Rome, and am also authorized to lead tours in the Vatican museums. You can find information about my tours at I'm also active on Twitter and Instagram. I graduated. Agnes Crawford. No picture of Agnes. All right. Unfinished Journeys. Emily Chappell. Rewriting our stories about cycling, travel, people, and identities. Over 2,000 subscribers. Why subscribe? Join the invisible peloton. Emily Chappell. Ultra-endurance cyclist, former bike messenger, author of What Goes Around and Where There's a Will. Doing everything I can to make the bike industry a welcoming place for all. On the Kitchen Porch, Nancy Harmon Jenkins. Weekly banter from my kitchen. Porch. Food, wine, people, places, Maine, the Mediterranean, the whole wide world. 3,000 subscribers. Lots of posts about recipes. Nancy Harmon Jenkins, where I like to put my feet up at least once a week. Writer, journalist, storyteller, cook, historian, world traveler. I've spent much of my life around the Mediterranean, but am now back home in Maine, which, with occasional forays to the Mediterranean world, especially to Tuscany, where I oversee a centuries-old tumbled-down farm with 150 odd olive trees from which my children and I make our own extra virgin. I write books and articles mostly about food, mostly as a freelancer for magazines, most of them now defunct or morphed into something internet-based. Nancy Harmon Jenkins. No picture of Nancy. Hickman's Hinterlands. A ledger of obscure travels, backwood rambles, rough bivouacs, and cackling cartographies. Over 1,000 subscribers. Sit down, my friend. Itinerant geographer from the foothills of Adirondack Mountains, incorrigibly anarchistic, comforted by isolated places and foul weather, always cackling. Huh. This guy's got a lot in his about section. At another time, you wouldn't have clicked my about page. You might have tapped my shoulder at the village tavern, or gingerly rapped upon my cottage door. You might have seen me walking on the highway, decided to offer me a ride. Perhaps in any of these cases, we'd have talked well into the night over ale and crackers. Lord knows I'd like that. Instead, every word you read here has been converted into the blinking binary of laser light and electric pulses and was sent flickering through a planetary mesh of glass and copper, out through so many routers and cell towers, all reconstructed in pixel form on your smart telephone or computer. And sad to say, we'll not be having any ale or crackers yet. Those who know me know my life has been a strange one. I have been known variously as a hayseed kid, a foothill rambler, a penniless vagabond, a dropout scholar, a tippling polemicist, a military sailor raised in a Rockwell-esque bastion of bucolic bliss in the Adirondack foothills. I'm a member of that youngest generation to remember life before cell phones, the internet, and 9/11. I have watched rural America's decline with a bleak sense of wonderment at how rapidly a culture can deflate. And in my sojourns, both as a thinker and a traveler, I have sought to find whatever embers of primordial human warmth and fraternal proximity I can find, from obscure island hamlets to squatter encampments to isolated border hinterlands, and much more. Now, at the behest of many friends and with patronage of my paying readers, I spend most of my time writing. Watch me as I fling myself out into the far corners of the earth as both bard and vagabond. Hear me as I cast my aspirations and praises with moonshine on my breath. As I go, perhaps my work can form a sort of chronicle of hope. The merry days of men may be far from over, that all who've planned obituaries for the jocular brotherhood of man should be forced by my efforts to rescind and retract them all, whether I find it in cathedrals or in tar paper shacks on the roiling black oceans of foreign coasts or amid the peaceful, towering oaks of home. I will find some sense of sublime and beautiful hope, and I pledge to share all my findings with you here. A penny for the wayfaring bard. No about page could be complete without an exhortation to pledge your support, not merely in spirit, but in pennies. For my life costs nearly nothing by modern American standards. And I should tell you, your pledge may go farther in my case than in any other. My mortgage is $400 per month, and in food I spend about as much. When I travel, I usually do as cheaply as possible, sleeping in ditches and thumbing my way across provinces and states. Already, the patronage of my readers affords me the ability to spend much of my time writing. Soon I should not only be able to write full time, but to travel often and to obscure spots on the world's map that will yield intriguing travelogues for my paying readers to enjoy. Here on Substack, I am beholden to no one. I have no handlers. I am never censored. I have no publishers to please. I toe no line but that of my readers. Is that supposed to be TOE? I don't think I've ever read that phrase in text. Insofar as I can edify and please all of you with my offerings here, and inasmuch as this spurs you to in turn, give me my daily bread, I have succeeded. It is a great honor to have found some success so far, and I am thankful that I have more or less complete license to write what I wish. I am above all thankful to my readers, particularly those who've generously pledged to support me with a few dollars each month. You have changed my life. I can only hope that I can change yours for the better so as to return the favor. May God bless you. Is that him? Wonder where he lives. Hey, I've got the same coffee pot. My brother does. Doing a little hitchhiking. That's what he meant by thumbing his way across states. He's out there thumbing. It's like fun. Oh, why not? No. All right. He has podcast notes. Notes? Archive leaderboard. Heavenly Wasteland. A traipse on Trout River. Perhaps the hallmark trait of all sublimity and grandeur is a sense of changeability and extremism. Like a strong Madeira or Scotch, a sublime thing, place, or experience presents those who possess it with both ecstasy and ruin at the same time. Perhaps the sense of ecstasy the thing exudes is exactly heightened by the possibility of ruin. Perhaps the seeker of sublime things wishes to fly to the sun, only a hair's width away from their own delirious and flaming demise. Lovers, a single illicit kiss from the noose. The mountaineer who scours peaks for feverish, mystical vistas is separated from death only by the fidelity of his crampons and carbiners and ropes. And if the genius bank robber wishes to maintain his status as a street deity, he cannot wake up on the wrong side of the bed or make his coffee too weak, lest he finds himself unexpectedly humbled by the stiff cost and chilling confinement of a prison cell. One finds prison easily in the North Country. A lot of writing. A lot of thinking. So that's not what I'm looking for, though. It's not the style of writing that I want to find someone who is doing. You know? I think sort of essay writing, I guess is what that is. Instead of like reporting. Like my favorite writers were journalists, I guess. Like Ernest Hemingway, Hunter S. Thompson, they were journalists. So they would report things. They'd write out dialogue a lot. There was, I think, in their writing, there's very little of that sort of analysis, like broad analysis or like philosophical, like waxing. Like, I want to give me a blog about somebody who's like, um, you know, not just like a recluse in some remote place, like thinking all day about abstract stuff, but somebody who is just living somewhere interesting, doing something interesting with characters he's involved with that maybe he cares about, people that care about each other in some way. Um, Maybe there's something at stake with what they're doing. There's like, you know, there's risk. Maybe there's some kind of risk in their daily life. But not just war reporting on disasters and stuff. That's kind of interesting, I guess. But, you know, you just go from like place to place, like reporting on people's pain and misery and misfortune. It's depressing. Like, just a picture of a dead law student. Like, just fucked up. Someone who's like immersed in life, not, you know, death, is what I'm looking for, and who's writing about it. Or, maybe not that crazy. Maybe it's, um, or not that like profound. Doesn't have to be that profound. It's funny. I was just about to say Ice Poseidon is my favorite streamer, and I just got a notification that he went live on Kick. Someone like Ice Poseidon, he's not. I don't think he's that deep or, um, you know, he's not like a real like intellectual type of guy. Uh, but he's out there living life with people that care about stuff. That I would state that Ice Poseidon, even though everyone thinks he's kind of a degenerate, which might be true, and the people around him are kind of like degenerates. Um, but he's like produced some of the best content that there is, and the people around him have become like hilarious characters in the process. And he obviously he's not a writer; he's a streamer. But I think um, the sort of spirit of creativity uh, that he has is an example of but then how much of that is just the energy of thousands of people watching you through your camera and chatting to you in the chat. You know, like, is that kind of like a hack? Like, when you have that, does that all of a sudden make everything around you that happens like way more interesting? Does it make everybody behave like way more, you know, entertainingly when they can feel all the people watching? Possibly. Could be that writing just isn't where it's at anymore. Like, nobody's gonna ever care more about reading a blog post, you know, by themselves on their computer than they are the opportunity to watch a live stream. Unless they're like really into the art and craft of writing. But that might not be true. There could be people out there that there could be the opportunity to be somebody that is able to produce writing that people are really excited to read, more so than the chance to get on the live stream and feel all that um, excitement from watching the same live stream as like 20,000 other people and watching some really entertaining guy like Ice Beside and do some crazy shit. You know? Like, that's hard to compete with. You'd have to make people, you'd have to be involved in a story, I think, that people were really curious to hear the next chapter of. You have to really make them feel like it was uh, something special that you were doing and writing about. Where that so much where they were personally invested, even if, you know, with streamers, it's when streamers interact with their audiences, it makes the audiences feel like they're involved or a part of the storyline. If they can do donations, text to speech donations, even just writing in the chat and imagining that, oh, hey, maybe this guy read my message or somebody read my message, you know. That kind of makes you feel like you're involved in what's happening on the stream, like real time. So if you're a blog writer, uh, that's tough to compete with when everything your blog is about has already happened, and the best somebody can do is comment on it after the fact. Which I guess someone could get pretty excited about if they felt like you were reading their comments. It would be different. It'd be very different. But it could definitely be done. If people felt like what you were doing was more important or more interesting or more directly uh, connected with them somehow. Um, you know, you could, as a writer, I think, compete with the uh, sort of innate superiority of the medium of streaming, of live streaming. And I guess it's not superior in every way. It's inferior in some ways. You have to have a camera on you all the time. Uh, I mean, you don't know what the streamer's thinking. You're not aware of everything he's noticing. He might notice things he might notice that you might not notice. You don't get the benefit of um, you know. I mean, you're watching a live stream, like an IRL live stream all day. Start to feel like you're rotting your brain. Whereas if you're reading all day, that actually feels like it's good for your brain. So that right there is probably the main reason I like blogging more than video content. Because video content takes no effort to consume. The reading, you have to like concentrate. You have to like exercise your brain's ability to convert symbols into meaning, which evidently is uh, just a healthy thing for you to do, for your mind to do on a regular basis. Well, we got a lot of stuff to go through here. Cruise Week. Cruise industry news and analysis. Mind the Moss. Unusual hiking in New England. Mickey Porto. Unusual hiking in New England. It's very specific. All of this stuff is very niche. I remember reading in some like how to start a blog books about like the idea of, oh, you want to get readers, make you have to have a very niche topic. It has to be very specific, and then you have to kind of like corner the market on that specific uh, thing, you know. You know what it is? If somebody's, it doesn't have to be some profound thing. If somebody is just really like into or jazzed or excited about their own life, where they live, what they do on a daily basis, like the things that they're progressing in, there's like a lot of good energy around that. And then they skillfully write about all that and like distill it, capture it, distill it into writing, the like positive vibes. I think that is really all people want from a blog or a newsletter. It'd be worth their $5 a month and worth their time to to read it. They'd feel good about Um, you know, getting that notification in their email. I think a lot of people, they subscribe to content. They subscribe for the information, like these niche topics. They they feel like they are benefiting from the specific information about things. But a lot of people follow influencers and stuff on social media, I think, um, because they're looking for friends. They want friendship. They are lonely. And, these charismatic people are attractive to um, somebody who doesn't have any friends. And so they want to have friendships with these people, relationships with them. And I think a lot of influencers uh, even try to sell that to people as if it's a thing that they can actually provide. And that's where you get the parasocial phenomenon. And I want to avoid doing that, I think. So how do you frame your newsletter? You're going to get a lot of lonely people on the internet trying to be friends with you, probably. If you seem like a likable person, or like that maybe you just have your life together. So, but you can't, you know, be friends with thousands of people on the internet. It's insane. So how do you build a Substack around um, not that, not not a cult of personality, right? Where you're the center of attention, like the object of worship, you know? How do you focus everyone's attention on you're just like the purveyor of something else that they come for. And a lot of times that's just information. A lot of these blogs, they're the service that people are providing is information, which is not really what I want to do for a living. I want to provide people with a service through a blog. Where um, they get the positivity of me living my life, but it's like not uh, coming from me. I'm just like, you know, writing about it. I'm just like witnessing it and telling them about it, I guess. So then they go, oh, you know, I can do the same thing this guy is doing myself. I don't need him necessarily to do anything more than uh, provide an example. I think that's probably the ideal sort of um, frame to try to maintain. Mind the moss. But it's got to be about specific stuff, specific instances. Like, you have to actually be living a life with, like, other people and situations. A lot of people nowadays, I don't know that they're really living much of a life. I think a lot of people have fun playing video games on the internet. At least that's what I do. That's what I watch for entertainment. People doing that. Or, I watch Ice Poseidon IRL. Not so much lately, but world's changing. There's less to write about, I think, in general. Sadly. Like, you can't write about a gaming session you had with somebody. Like, no one's gonna want to read about a virtual world is not as interesting as the real world. It's the problem. Like, you could describe everything you saw in World of Warcraft, but you're not going to get that inspired by the level of detail. And the fact that there's no danger, there's no risk, and no reward, really. If there's no risk, there's no reward. And risk and reward are just like emotions or feelings that people have. But there's no risk when you're playing a video game. There's no reward. There's nothing to write about. It's just goofing off with your pals. But there's not much there to write about. Might as well just put that on a YouTube video. Mind the Moss is a weekly newsletter about strange yet beautiful hikes in New England's wild lands, cities, and the places between. It's a guide for unconventional hiking and irreverent primer on how to go for a ramble beyond the usual hiking venues. Who writes this? Hey, Miles Howard here. I'm a journalist and author writing about outdoor and urban recreation and how to make both more accessible to people. My reporting has been published in National Geographic, the Boston Globe, Vice, the Washington Post, and Southwest, the magazine. I also researched and co-wrote Moon, New England Hiking 2020, and my next book is the forthcoming Moon, New England Road Trip. Why New England? New England is my home. It's rustling with weird natural wonders, savory characters, and forgotten folklore and history. Many of these things can be discovered by finding the following trails less traveled into the woods, across our cities and towns, and often to the literal land's end. My approach to hiking has rarely involved traveling vast distances at great expense. I prefer to dig deeper, locally, and see what I happen upon. It's tough nowadays. People aren't as welcoming as they used to be, I don't think. They're not as friendly to strangers as maybe they once were. Or at least they're not open to. I don't think they're open to getting to know people in person. It's scary. Some drifter coming through town. you know, I guess if you had like a better appearance than somebody who's like a drifter, uh, probably drifters always had a tough time getting people to, um, give them a place to stay or chat with them about what's happening. So it has a lot to do with your appearance. But he's talking about see what I happen upon. Dig deeper locally, see what I happen upon. Traveling vast distances at great expense. Ah, okay. So he doesn't go far from home. Every paid subscription allows me to spend more time writing about curious trails and natural oddities across New England. Not to mention, paid subscriptions fuel the newsletter's evolution, expanding its scope of features, but spreading the word helps as well. By sending a newsletter to a friend or sharing a post on social media, you're putting Mind the Moss in front of more eyeballs. In the digital market, that's important. Miles Howard. Yeah, there he is. He's got a little alfalfa going on in his hair. So I'm not really one to talk. Mickey Porto. Special Mickey Porto. Vigiago. Scrivio. Video. Rocot. Is this even in English? It's like in Italian or something. Information Isabella Taloni. Ancestre beneficio Isas. Sui sociali en molte el molti di voi mi consos come nasco come designer e product manager. Okay. Oh, can't read that one. The Retroologist by Roland Pujol. Retrologist. How's that for a word? Retrologist. Notes, Guide to Pizza Hut Classics, Howard Johnson's Archive. About. If you've been following me on Instagram, you know you're in for a unique, fun ride back in time along the American roadside. This is the next step in the journey. Why subscribe? I am producing a richer, even more rewarding experience for people who, like me, love not only visiting nostalgic places but learning more about them. On my Substack newsletter, you'll be getting roadside Americana and nostalgia news roundups, special articles and profiles, photos from my archive, breaking news updates on historic places, and additional photos and information on the places I visit. Jericho Cider Mill. And I love fast food. The more retro, the better. Rolando Pujol. Bow-tied passports, guide to travel and living abroad. Dang, we're only at 1 hour. So I was doing this for longer. Tech sales. AE, currently living in Mexico after traveling the world, helping 1,000+ people experience travel and life abroad. I write articles and guides on travel, dating, global arbitrage, culture, and sales. Over 1,000 subscribers. About. Relocation consulting call. Travel, dating, culture, budget, and cost, residency, and taxes. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Terms of endearment. Many essays on trying and failing, and trying again to become a more mindful human being. Travel, art, slow living. Thai Island Quest. The love of Thailand's islands, coastal areas. Paris Chic Code. Bi-weekly newsletter that provides Francophiles with the chic cheat code for Paris. A&I Lifestyle. Curated itineraries, vacant properties across rural Japan. Global Jigsaw. American Weekender. Travel newsletter for food people. Okay. Dispatches from the road. Travel writing, writing tips, writing prompts, gossip from my life. All right. Novelist, essayist, travel writer whose work appears in New York Times, Guardian, Harper's, GQ, Esquire, Playboy, Washington Post, Playboy, and many other publications. Boston grown, Texas based. Always packing it up. 800 subscribers. From the hip, one woman's writing on food. Kind of curious how many are on the leaderboard for travel. $189, that's all. And it stops. Wonder what their cutoff is. This guy's at the very bottom. Huh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So maybe if I get 24 subscribers, maybe you just need like 20 plus to be on any leaderboard. Ugh. Let me try to confirm that. Like, let's look at culture. Leaderboard. Scroll all the way to the bottom. Oop. I don't know if if it's based off of subscribers or paid subscriptions. Error. I don't like when it says error. It makes me think that there's supposed to be more. 525. Yeah, let's just test that theory. Do this again. It's so annoying how. Why don't you just have pagination? Like, why do we have to do it like this? Aren't you guys making enough money to like hire some good front end devs or have a few meetings about some improvements? Fuck's sake. Error. Okay. Maybe 525 is the max for any category. Let's try another big category. Maybe culture is like the biggest category. Oh, you know what? Health and wellness has got to be a huge category. See if this errors out at 525. I wonder if Substack's hiring web devs to help them make this app better. Just for my own purposes as a user. Yep, 525. That's the max, and it errors. Okay, where was I here? A woman's writing on food. ETA, existential travel agency. Travel newsletter for people who love to get away. If you travel more for vibes than for selfies, this is for you. Tips, itineraries, designy vacation rentals, beautiful destinations. Cosmographia, journey to the faraway. M.E. Rothwell. Hmm. The hell? The Holy Land. Join me on a journey to the faraway. It's a nice map. Montenegro. Do you like to travel? Me too. Ever since I was given a globe as a small child, I have been obsessed with faraway places, old maps, stories of adventures, adventurous explorers, Teenager spent hours staring at distant place names on the 6-foot map of the world I had pinned to my bedroom wall. I always used to wonder who lived there. What were they like? What did they do? These questions led me first into dusty books, then to travel, and now to cosmographia. Here I share my lifelong fascination with the distant corners of the globe, its myriad cultures, stories of people found there. Each issue of Cosmographia is like a journey, whisking you away to a faraway place, unveiling the hidden layers of history and culture found there. Is that right? Traveler in an antique land. 5K plus subscribers. Wow. Meticulously curated deep dive journeys to the far away, featuring breathtaking paintings, poignant. It's the second time I saw the word poignant. I don't know what that means. Poignant literature and riveting history. These stories will whisk you off for adventures all around the world. Whether you're an armchair traveler, a history buff, or planning your next trip. Uh, we have two types of posts here. Moleskin notebooks, short and sweet jottings on faraway places. These are free to read as they come out, but the archive is paywalled. Atlas Cultura, deep dive journeys into the great cities, lands, and the far flung. These are for paid subscribers. You are an intrepid explorer or a comfortable homebody, Cosmographia has something for you. If you like travel, history, art, or you're just curious about the world we live in, then you'll love this newsletter. Why the name? It's supposed to be the magnum opus of Gerardus Mercator, 1512. One of the most influential cartographers in history. His aim was to describe the history and geography of the entire world and the stars beyond through maps, chronology, and scientific observation. He accomplished a lot in his life, but he never finished this project. Taking inspiration from Mercator's grand vision, this newsletter is my humble attempt to map the myriad corners of our planet. Okay. Map the myriad corners of our planet. What, like this one? Kotar, Montenegro. Okay. But why? Why did you want to go to this place? That's what I want to know. Just wandering? Hello, stranger. Cosmographia. Essays on the outdoors, travel, and outdoor influencer culture. Come and join a community dedicated to Midwest adventure. Well, that's interesting. Her homepage is blog style, I guess. I like that. Hello, Stranger by Maddie. Here we are tackling topics like body image in the outdoor industry, the ugly side of blogging and hiking and paddling stories. Right now, I'm exploring the Pacific Northwest while working as a sea kayaking guide. Come join me. Hmm. Tackling topics. Uh-oh, didn't save. I didn't open that correctly. Living another New England newsletter. Paris Unlocked newsletter. News, reviews, travel tips, and interviews with a focus on Paris and France. The New Roman Times. People, places, things matter to Romans. A lot of Paris and Rome publications. Letters from a Stranger. Digital journal by writer, photographer, and podcast host. She looks pretty. Free signups. Words. She keeps saying words I needed last week. Huh. Okay. Some of these writers aren't as forthcoming with details about what their writing is about as others. The fishing boat real close offshore. Adventures Unpacked. Man, I'd hate to be like a niche writer. Look at her eyelashes. God, just always in cold fucking places. Midst of winter, I found there was within me an invincible summer, and that makes me happy. For it says that no matter how hard the world pushes against me, within me there's something stronger, something better, pushing right back. Albert Camus. Adventure Unpacked. newsletter written by Jill Homer, who, according to social media profiles, is an author, journalist, cyclist, trail runner, endurance junkie, and blogger who likes to go where the wind takes her. I've written 6 books about outdoor adventures, but the bulk of my professional career has been spent in newspaper journalism. Yes, the ink and the paper kind. The medium was already archaic when I graduated from college at the turn of the millennium, but I remain hopelessly passionate about local journalism and its quixotic mission to connect and inform people about the stories happening in their communities. My athletic career is even more unrealistically idealistic. As a child, I was the classically awkward and unathletic type, going so far as to fail the presidential fitness test in 7th grade. And barely meeting the physical education requirements to graduate from high school. It goes without saying that I did not play sports. However, I love to be outside, exploring the empty lots near our house, or building massive sandcastle kingdoms in the backyard when I was 14. My father invited me to join him on a hike with his work hiking group. From that point on, I was hooked on outdoor adventure. Having a limited aptitude for athleticism, but abundant enthusiasm for adventure, I was drawn into endurance cycling shortly after I moved to Alaska in late 2005. Although I'd never before raced anything of note, last place in the middle school fun run 5K notwithstanding, I became enthralled with an event called the Susitna 100, in which skiers, bikers, and runners race 100 miles through the Alaska backcountry on winter trails. Everyone who knew me thought I would die, but I managed to finish, and again became hooked. Since then, I devoted a huge portion of my time, money, and energy to training and racing endurance events. The pinnacle of my cycling career was riding the 1,000-mile Iditarod Trail to Nome in 2016, setting a woman's record that still stands as of 2023. 2010, I looked up trail running and have since completed somewhere between 50 and 75 ultra marathons. Honestly, I haven't kept track. Recently, I've taken a step back from racing, but I continue to prioritize outdoor recreation and training for fun and fitness. One endeavor that's drawn more time, energy, and in its own way money than racing is writing, and specifically blogging. Since 2005, I've kept an outdoor adventure blog at jillsoutside.com. I started the blog as a personal newsletter for friends and family, but soon became drawn into incredible connections with people from all over the world. I love to write and read long-winded. I like the term long-form stories about people and places, the mundane and unusual, the unexpectedly delightful sides of life. When blogs fell out of fashion, I was genuinely heartbroken. I missed my old blog friends, and I almost despise social media, as addicted to it as I am. Still, my 17-year-old blog is falling apart. The platform is no longer maintained, and issues such as spam comments and broken links are rampant. The Substack is a chance to start anew. I initially launched this newsletter in 2022 as an archiving project with old journals and photos, but my own waning interest in that project means I either need to pivot or let this newsletter go the way of so many blogs before it. My aim is simple: to share stories and connect with other people in a way that seems lost since the heyday of blogs. There will be a lot of outdoor adventure and journalism content, but I also intend to delve into some of the more complex subjects that have come to the forefront in my 40s. Challenges with physical and mental health, loss and grief, midlife shifts, reflections on relationships, reflections on an ever-changing sense of self, existentialism, and the ongoing search for meaning. I welcome the feedback and commentary. If you've enjoyed my work, I hope you'll subscribe to my newsletter and website. Jeez. Two professional culture writers based in Berlin join forces to share their favorite secret places and experiences from around the globe. Berlin. Germans. Gisela Williams and Antje Wooer. There they are. Ah, a couple of German ladies. Well, based in Berlin. All right. Boop, boop. Uh, Pilot Notes by Paul G. Ryan. Big red dot. Reflections on places, adventures, and people. Words and images. Some recent, some from the past. Launched 2 years ago. Newsletter. Words and images about once a week. My reflections on places, adventures, and people I've met over time. Places you might want to explore. Subscribe if you're curious. I've been a pilot for many years and a skier, photographer, filmmaker, even longer. Filmed for Terry Malick, Days of Heaven, Robert Redford, River Runs Through It, Jesse Dillon. My photographs in the permanent collection of the San Francisco Museum of Art. Many posts are free. Santa Monica. Francophilia. A thrice monthly love letter to Maine. Curated Maine adventures, plus the spaces, places, and people that make them possible. Gadabout Maine. French Crossroads. Love Ireland. Get the ultimate Ireland travel bundle when you join and stay updated on everything about the Emerald Isles. Your free travel bundle will include free PDF downloads as well as online resources that we update regularly. Bitchin'. All the kitchen banter you never knew you cared about. Madonna del Piatto. Cooking is love, food is culture, identity, connection. It's also color and magic. Love Scotland. Get a free digital copy of the Ultimate Scotland Travel Guide when joining. Okay. Cool. Scotland travel destinations. Flying Solo. Flying Solo charts and celebrates what we can do by ourselves, from travel and adventure to running and fitness, mental health, personal challenges, and growth. It charts the struggles and triumphs. Notes from wherever we are. Finish mental health, personal challenges, and growth. Charts the struggles and triumphs of self towards personal freedom. Okay. Notes from wherever we are. Writings on the intersection between the seen and unseen. The longed for and the lost. The delicious and the delights. The Earful Tower. Clickables, viewables, musings. David Watts Barton abroad. David Watts Barton. Welcome to my world. I travel often from home in Berlin, playing my music, making friends, and documenting my journeys in sight, sound, and text. My travels follow my passions, friendship, new places, and ideas, and music. Mine and others. Come along. Another Berlin resident. No about section? Just to subscribe here. Okay. Indian food. Addits Brothers. Our goal is simple. Share the beauty of the national parks and public land in an effort to get people to see true value in land conservation. We write about all things public lands, especially national parks. Okay. More than just parks. Paddit's Brothers, our goal here is simple. Share the beauty of our national parks. But their ears get really sunburned. Hats like that. In the ears like that. Visually stunning national park guides. America's 64th National Park. Oh. It's a paid one. Well, we'll take a break.